Podcasting stations.
It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Whew. That's relief. That's absolute craziness being released from my body after the Tigers finished, but they sure made it hard on themselves. So a quarter of the way through the season, the Tigers are 3-0. They are now 1-0 in conference play after holding on and beating Navy 28-24. I'm not sure the Tigers have played a great game yet, and yet they are 3-0. I do know this. Last year, with the mistakes that Memphis made down the stretch, shooting themselves in the foot, they would not have won the game. They did last night. It was their defense again after a horrendous first half of tackling, righted the ship and made the plays in the end to go 3-0 and 1-0. You play 12 regular season games, 3-0, 25% of your year is done. You've yet to play your A game, and you have won 3 games. I just heard, and J-Mo, I don't know if you can look this up, but you're a master with those things. ESPN had a graphic. I'm doing the game, so I didn't see it, but I've been told ESPN had a graphic. That graphic showed, you know how they do analytics and they do projections and percentages of winning games? That ESPN has projected Memphis, in every game they play the rest of the way, 50% or better chance to win. 63% to win at home against a Tulane team we know is pretty darn good. 50% in the game next week in St. Louis against Missouri. Is that accurate? Do you have that?
I have like their matchup predictor.
Yeah.
They have Missouri 53.2 chance to win next week to Memphis' 46.8.
Okay, so it is not 50-50, but it's pretty close. Okay.
Yeah, but their Boise State game has gone up to 70%.
70% chance to win. And then Tulane, I believe Memphis was 60-something% chance?
56.5 is what I've got
56.5.
And this is just
that
the
might have
matchup.
gone down a little bit since last night.
This is just the matchup predictor, too. So maybe this isn't the same thing, but according to this is their ESPN matchup predictor.
That probably is the right thing. So anyway, those are the positives. In a game Memphis should have put away, had several chances to put away, but could not put away. Man, that... We've seen the emergence of Blake Watson, who had 2 runs that were absolutely amazing. The best was a 69-yarder where he does a pirouette, and I love to call that a Baryshnikov, for those of you who are old and watched The Great Ballet Star, and went down the sidelines tippy-toeing for 69 yards, and it was so close they had to review it to make sure he did not get in because he did hit the pylon, but apparently he was about a yard short. And then, of course, when they could have put the game away, they were up 4 at the time, and they could have had an 11-point lead. They were literally less than a yard away, and they handed the ball off, and somehow the same guy that got you there, Blake Watson, I don't know if it was the exchange with Seth Hennigan, who did not have a great game, whether it was the exchange with Hennigan or what it was, but I think it hit his chest, his knee, ended up in the end zone. It was fumbled about the 6-inch line, and it kept Navy in the game. And then Memphis is able to get the ball right back on a turnover. And then Seth Hennigan, I don't know what he did on that throw. I'm not sure he didn't follow through, step in, sailed high, whatever it wasn't close, and he got picked off, allowing Navy to march down the field until the Tigers finally made the big stop. I'm going to give Matt Barnes a lot of credit, because his defense has really been good this year, but in that first half, I have never seen more missed tackles than I saw in that first 30 minutes. I mean, they were making a guy, Alex Teska is his name. He had a great first half, didn't do much in the second because they made adjustments and they started tackling. But he made them look like he was Gale Sayers. He's a good player. He's only a sophomore. Navy is certainly a better team than I thought they were going to be. Maybe that's how good Notre Dame truly is. Or maybe they're getting used to now the new offensive scheme that they are running in Annapolis. It's really creative. It's really pretty good. The one thing about Navy, though, my goodness, I hate to say this about our great servicemen because they really are great men, but they play a brand of football that is borderline when it comes to being clean. There was one uncalled submarine. Well, actually, it did get called. I'm sorry, take it back. On a play that was away from the play. It was following the play, behind the play. And this guy just submarined a Tiger, took his knees out, and they did call that. There was a terrible offensive, should have been offensive interference that was called as defensive interference, and it kept Navy going. But in the end, Memphis made the big clutch plays on defense to go 3-0. That's the best thing that you can say about it. You got Blake Watson now, and I got to hope Seth Hennigan was sort of like maybe not totally 100% after he really did get his bell rung. Yeah, and I give him a lot of credit for standing in. He knew he was going to get hit. And he delivered a perfect pass to the tight end, Anthony Lamphere, over the middle that got the Tigers a first down, but he got hit. He paid the price. He stayed in knowing he was going to pay the price. The part that was the worst was he got hit in the chest. I thought maybe his wind had been knocked out of him, but actually the whiplash of his head hitting the turf. They gave him a concussion test on the sideline before they allowed him to go back in, and then he snuck it. So they felt for sure he was okay. But I've got to wonder if indeed, because he said he saw stars, I got to wonder if he was 100% when he threw that interception. It was a lot later in the game, but it sure was not what we expect out of Seth Hennigan. One last thing on college football. There's so much that we could get into. We got such a short time because we got Glenn Rogers on high school football coming up, Andy Schiffman on the Team USA woes and what's going on in the NBA, and Brian Dacus will catch up with us, and we'll talk a little bit more about this game and what may be happening with DeAndre Williams. Who knows? But I got to talk about this Deion J. Norvell thing. And I just can't figure out Jay Norvell. He's the coach of Colorado State. And for whatever reason, I have no idea if he's got a vendetta against Deion Sanders, if he is totally oblivious to culture. I don't know. Also, he's the little kid in this battle against Colorado's always been the big brother. Colorado hasn't played Colorado State in a few years. They getting to play them. And the coach of Colorado State, Jay Norvell, he decides he's going to take a shot on ESPN radio. He's going to take a shot at Deion Sanders and basically saying, ripping the way that Deion Sanders was raised. I don't know how else you can talk around that when he's about to play Deion Sanders and a team, by the way, that is better than his team. Is that to rile up his team? I don't know, but it sure had the opposite effect, and it was really cute. I don't know if you saw the video, but it's like they do this in unison. I don't know if they rehearsed this, but he's talking about Deion Sanders is going, we were just going to play a nice game. We don't talk about people. We just come and we work our butts off, and then we go play the game, and we play the game the right way. And he decided to make it, and he pauses, and the whole team goes personal. And they did that little routine a couple of times. I think they are going to put a whooping on Colorado State. I mean, this is going to end up being like 60-10 when it's all said and done. Deion, I don't blame him. You rip him like that? Why? He didn't provoke that. That was just sheer stupidity on Jay Norvell's side. In the meantime, we've got Glenn Rogers Jr. coming up. We got to do our pick six, and I know we got to do our pick six because if we tally it up, I'm 10-5. J-Mo is 8-7.
I'm back positive.
You are back positive.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. Both 4-2 last week, so that's not bad. So here's the deal. Let's start it. LSU minus 9.5 in Starkville against Mississippi State, and that's Will Rogers. I do think LSU's the better team, and they're going to win the game. I think that's too many points. I think Will Rogers will keep Mississippi State in the game. The Cowbells will certainly keep Mississippi State in the game. I'm going to take the Bullies with the 9.5.
I agree. I thought this was a bit peculiar. I really like Mississippi State. I have high hopes for them playing in the league, and like you said, 9 might be too many points. I'm going to take Mississippi State as well.
I must say there's some really weird lines, and we're going to go over those in a second. The next one, because I'm really interested in this game, Kansas State at Missouri. So I want Kansas State to beat them up, make them lose confidence. Other people would say, oh, no. Let them get real puffy, have those chests out, be overconfident, overlook Memphis. I don't know which way, but I'm kind of going the other way. I do think Kansas State, 3.5, that thing started at like 6 or 7. I don't know what I'm missing, but I think K-State is better than Missouri. Missouri's first 2 games, they have looked poor. I'm going K-State.
I'm with you. This line is so weird, it makes me almost want to take Missouri, but I just can't. I've seen Missouri play and I've seen Kansas State play, and I think Kansas State is a really good football team. I think they beat them up pretty good, and they beat them by more than 3.5.
South Carolina is going into Athens to play between the hedges. J-Mo, I don't get this. 27.5, is South Carolina still in the SEC?
Oh, they are.
And they're not like even at the bottom. I believe in their division, Vandy and really Missouri are picked below them, right?
That's right.
They didn't play a good game against North Carolina, but they weren't like totally shellacked. Now I know North Carolina's not Georgia. 27.5? That means Georgia's got to beat them by 4 touchdowns? This is an SEC game, right?
Sure is.
Too many points. Give me South Carolina.
I'm going to take a chance here on Georgia, I think. Another one that's kind of weird. 2 games in a row, we thought weird lines. I'm just going to have to take a shot on Georgia here.
This is the weirdest line. It's a sucker line. I'm going to get suckered. I can't see how Tennessee is only a 6-point favorite at Florida. I know they haven't won in the Swamp in forever. I know they didn't look good against Austin Peay, which gives them a real opportunity to prove a point. And I think that's exactly what Heupel and the guys are going to do. Joe Milton, now everybody's saying he can't do any reading of defenses and all this, which was a question mark coming in. I think he reads Florida really well. I think Tennessee wins big.
So do I, except for the purposes of our picks here, I'm going to take Florida just because it's such a weird number. Why are they 6? Why is Tennessee only a 6-point favorite? Someone has to know something.
I know, it's a
Florida.
sucker bet, I'm suckered in. We'll see. One of us is going to be right. 2 NFL games really quick. The New York Jets at the Dallas Cowboys. I think Dallas is for real. I think the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers were able to get by 1 game. I don't think Zach Wilson can do that 2 games in a row. I'm going all, and this is hard for me to believe. I never do this, but I'm going all Cowboys.
I really think the Jets can keep this one close. I really like this Jets team. I do not like Zach Wilson whatsoever, though. I want to make that clear. But I just think that a touchdown line, Dallas was really good last week. I know. I'm going to take a chance on the Jets.
Baltimore at Cincinnati. The Bengals looked terrible after they gave that $270 million contract to Joe Burrow. Baltimore didn't look as good as they're supposed to be. Both of these teams were really thought of as potential Super Bowl combatants. I just, something's wrong in Cincy. Burrow's not 100%. I'm taking Baltimore.
I agree. I don't think Burrow's 100% either, and for that reason, I'm also taking Baltimore. I think we are early on that. I don't think the whole world is caught up to Burrow not being 100%. I think we got a good one here.
All right, so we've got 4 on the same page, 2 that we differ.
3 and 3. We're both on Mississippi State, Kansas State, and the Ravens.
Okay, so there's 3 differences?
Yeah. Georgia, Florida, and the Jets.
Okay, that's right. All right, very good. So there's absolutely going to be a winner when you got the odd number in there.
Absolutely.
I like that. Okay, very good. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. Don't forget the world's biggest spa sale. Back bigger than ever. Now we're talking 50 different models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. And if you get an in-stock spa or even a swim spa, you get up to 30% off with free upgrades. And there's 24 months, same as cash. All available at I-40 and Whidden Road. It's the world's biggest spa sale at Family Leisure. And, of course, our title sponsor, you know by now, and we're proud to have them for years. Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch. You know, I talk about customer retention. People do always come back. If you bought one car from Homer Skelton Hyundai, whether it was a Hyundai like my Santa Fe, whether it was a Genesis, which is the luxury car, and they got plenty on the lot, including a deal with a $1,000 rebate if you finance with Genesis on that rocket ship G70, or if you're talking about a pre-owned car. If you bought one car at Homer Skelton Hyundai, you're coming back. Same crew for about 20 years. They take care of you at Homer Skelton Hyundai at the corner of Craft Road, the first exit in Mississippi off Highway 78, which is Lamar. And it's all fixed now. You can get there quickly, and you'll love the experience at Homer Skelton Hyundai. You can't get better than the experience of going perfect on your second week of picking here in high school football. Our coach on high school football, Glenn Rogers Jr., went 6-0 last week, 5-1 the week before. You are on a roll, my friend, and we got a full slate of high school football coming up this week. I know you guys are playing Ridgeway. Are you making Ridgeway walk down from the school again like you do every year? Get their legs tired early?
Well, good morning, Dave, you and Jay and all our listeners. That's by Coach Sutton's choice. We don't make them walk down. I think that's Coach Sutton's choice, former Tiger. And so it'll be a great ball game. Ridgeway's off to a slow start, but it's always a fun game because they bring a nice crowd, and I think it's just a great atmosphere when you can play your neighbor across the street.
Yeah, it always is in my mind a very cool little day. I like to walk, but I always go, man, these guys are going to be tired now. Anyway, all right, let's get to the full slate here. The game of the week in my mind, Houston at Whitehaven. Houston 2-2, and man, they're the best two-loss team in the state of Tennessee. Whitehaven's getting their act together. You know they always do with Rodney Salisbury. They're 3-1. There should be a lot of offense in this game. This is a tough one to pick, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, it is. We scrimmage both teams, and I tell you, Dave, a lot of Division I athletes going to be on the field tonight. Should be a real tough physical ball game. Both defenses like to bring pressure. I'm going to give the nod to Houston, Dave. I think Houston has enough firepower offensively to squeak this out. It'll be a close ball game, but I think Houston will pull it out in the end. I think Houston defensively, they got some great corners, some good cover guys, and they are very, very aggressive on defense.
Fairleigh High School has not given up a point this year. Listen to me. They have outscored people 184-0. They have not allowed a point this year, and they've played 4 games. Tonight they're up against a good North Point team that's 2-2, but they've got a quarterback in Jack Patterson that's already committed to Central Arkansas and a guy who probably is a Division I prospect. This game could be closer than many think, Coach Rogers.
Oh, absolutely. And North Point is a great atmosphere down there. The stadium is very nice. The facilities are nice. But I tell you, Dave, Fairleigh is a program on the rise. And it started with Gene Robinson bringing it back right after Ramon Slocum stepped down. And the coach now has kept it going. He's a young man out of Atlanta. But I tell you, Dave, they got a player, a tailback. When we played them at 707 in Memphis, and we couldn't touch him in the phone booth. So he's very exciting, electrifying. From my understanding, his grades are not great, so he'll probably be a JUCO guy. But I tell you, Dave, whoever gets that young man on their campus, college-wise, if he pans out, he'll be a name that shoots up to one of these bigger colleges because he is elusive and he's fast. I'm picking Fairleigh to win that ball game. Right? I think it'll be a great atmosphere, a tough ball game, but I'm picking Fairleigh. I just think they'll have 1 or 2 players that'll overwhelm North Point speed-wise.
Cordova 2-2, and they're much better than they have been with their old coach coming back. And Germantown, well, they're number 1 in the Dandy Dozen. They are ranked in the state. They're perfect. Haven't lost a game. They had an amazing comeback to knock off Riverdale, which was state-ranked last week. So Cordova's got their hands full, and it's at Germantown.
Absolutely. You know, and we said this all along. Gene's one of the best coaches around here, and he got a great staff with him. And Morrow, the young man that plays slot receiver and the return guy, he's got a bunch of offers. He can overwhelm me with his running the ball and handing them off on jet sweeps, and then just getting the ball to him in space. And you know, Gene's calling card is his defense. Very aggressive. They can play man-to-man. They can load the box up to stop the run, which allows them to play one-on-one on the outside. So I'm going with Germantown. I think there'll be too much for Cordova to handle now.
Collierville is at Arlington. Collierville's 3-1. Arlington's 2-2. Do you know that Collierville quarterback Aiden Glover already has thrown for 977 yards and 12 touchdowns in 4 games? He's the real deal, and Arlington apparently is in trouble.
Yeah, with Aiden Glover, he's a special talent, Dave. Great kid, great family. I know his mom and dad very well, and you know he was with us for 3 years, and just an awesome. Well, 4 years actually. He's an awesome kid, just a great attitude and a hard worker. And I tell you, he's the engine that makes that train go. And so when he's playing well and they're clicking on all cylinders, he got great weapons with Joakim Dotson, former Tiger great receiver Damon Dotson's son. He's got a big tight end that's committed to Liberty. He's got a guy up front protecting him that's committed to Duke. So Joe Riccone has a lot of talent on that team, and they'll keep rolling tonight. I think, you know, Arlington, it baffles me that Arlington can't get it rolling out there because they got a lot of great facilities and good players, and so it just kind of baffles me why they're not more competitive than what they are. But I say Collierville going to keep it rolling tonight and get a victory and keep the train moving.
White Station High School always plays the toughest schedule. I swear. They never have an easy game. They're 2-2, but they got to go to Bartlett. Bartlett has Jaron Johnson. That running back has 690 yards and 9 touchdowns in 4 games. They play great defense, and they're at home. That's a tough one for White Station.
It is. Marcus Bell, the D coordinator, he's got the defense playing well. And I tell you, Dave, Coach Terry Conley at White Station has really, really got the program turned around. Got some really good players. England, the all-everything quarterback that they have. The defensive tackle, Jalen Thomas, has a couple of offers. And I tell you, Dave, White Station gave Christian Brothers all they could handle in that first ball game. And they gave Whitehaven all they could handle last week. Real close ball game. Whitehaven edged it out on the end. This will be a tough out tonight, and I'm going to give the nod to Bartlett. I think Bartlett will win the game, but it'll be a tough out on White Station because they play good, hard-nosed defense, and they got really good players.
Chaminade is coming all the way down from St. Louis. They haven't won a game yet. They're taking on Christian Brothers at home. Christian Brothers 3-1. Christian Brothers quietly putting together a good year. They got to be the favorite in this, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, Chaminade hasn't won a game, and anytime you travel with these high school kids, that's a task within itself. And so I'm sure they probably came in last night, but I tell you, it's tough to win on Tom Nixon's field. And Coach McDaniel has those guys playing well. Christian Brothers always plays good defense, and they run the ball effective with that big offensive line up front being physical. I'm getting the nod to Christian Brothers. I think they'll go to 4-1 and keep the train moving and keep the season chugging along. And
then finally, former Christian Brothers High School coach Kevin LeCastro at Lausanne. They're 2-1 on the year. They go to play St. Benedict, which under Will Hudgens apparently has become a much better team, but they're still 1-3, and Lausanne is pretty good.
Yeah, Kevin's got those guys rolling. He and Chris Jordan, the D coordinator. And I'll tell you, Lausanne is loaded with talent. They got talent from top to bottom. And Will Hudgens is doing an outstanding job. St. Benedict has moved down to the lower division. They were in our division. They've moved down, and so the competition is not as steep week in and week out. But Lausanne will pull this game off. Now, they'll have too much talent tonight for Will to overcome. And they have a lot of depth on their team, too. And so one thing about St. Benedict, they don't have a lot of depth. So Kevin them will worm down and win this ball game tonight.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck tonight. And we'll talk to you next Friday. Let's see if you can keep your record intact of almost perfect weeks every time out.
Well, thank you, Dave. A great win by the Tigers last night. Coach Silverfield and his staff. And a much-needed win against a tough Navy team.
No doubt about it. Thank you.
Absolutely. Go Tigers, go and go Owls. Thank you, Dave.
That's our coach. That's Glenn Rogers Jr. He's brought to you in part by the good folks at Grind City Brewing. That's a taste of Memphis. There's no question about it. They've got Poppy's Pills. That's the Pilsner that everybody loves. It's what the doctor ordered, Poppy's Pills. But then you've got choice. When you're talking Memphis's favorite local brewery, Grind City, you got the Pale Ale. That's God Hopper. That's their second biggest seller. Now the new products, the Thaddeus Amber Lager or the Belga. That's the Blue Moonish kind of Belgian-style wheat ale. There's the Tiger Tail craft malt liquor, unlike any other that you've ever had. Unique taste, all Memphis. That's what Grind City Brewing is all about. And this portion of the show brought to you by Miramichi. This is the weekend to go play. Man, is it ever beautiful. And you know how it's beautiful out there. Walking around Miramichi is like walking in the woods. In the back nine, you got a meandering stream that's always kind of following you. There's waterfalls, and there's challenge. 5 different tee boxes. Make it as hard as you want, but you will find perfect conditions and just fabulous golf in a beautiful setting. And it's 12 minutes north of downtown or less, and 19 minutes from my driveway in East Memphis. It's closer than you think in Woodstock. That's the great Miramichi. Get out there today. You will really appreciate the fall feel of golf at Miramichi. Back in a minute to Chicago we go. Our agent standing by. That is Andy Schiffman. We talk NBA, the USA team, and a whole lot more in just a minute.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Want to play a private country club but only pay daily greens fees? Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis is your place. You can now play a beautiful, challenging course for only $59 plus tax, including cards. Meadowbrook Country Club features champion Bermuda greens and now is available to everyone. A membership is only $350 per month and includes tennis, pickleball, and swimming, plus a great restaurant and bar. Golf Pro Mark can even fix you up with custom-made tricks on clubs. Call 870-394-4186 today for your Tuesday through Sunday tee time at Meadowbrook Country Club in West Memphis.
Jeep Adventure Days and Ram Power Days are going strong at Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat on the Pike. And if you're ready to save big bucks, we Gossett! Show off your style in 2023 Fiat 500X Pop 4-door Gossett priced at $28,990 or $354 a month with 0% APR. Or take your pick with 2023 Jeep Renegade or 2023 Dodge Charger, now just $422 a month. And if you're looking for big savings on your 2023 Ram 1500, get to Gossett for just $587 a month. And if we don't have it, Gossett can order it today. So drive past the rest and come to the best at Gossett on the Pike or shop online at GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 3500 Elmas financed through Chrysler. Pop PP 988,763, MSRP 31,355, Renegade PPP 45,607, MSRP 30,500, Charger PH 508,657, MSRP 35,930, Ram PN 693, 3965, MSRP 48,330, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 9/30/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Chicago we go in just a minute. We'll talk NBA. We will talk the dismal appearance that was had by the USA FIBA World Cup basketball team. Andy Schiffman standing by, brought to you by the good folks at Conway. A cold shower's no way to start the day. Purchase a new water heater from the pros at Conway. All you got to do is call 384-3511 to schedule an appointment. Or you can go visit conwayservices.com. You can get a new tanked water heater if you want, and it's much more efficient than the old one. But better yet, get the tankless. And you may be eligible for up to $2,000 in federal tax credits. 384-3511. Give Conway a call today.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Well, not exactly the president.
Happy birthday to you.
But it is Andy Schiffman's 40th birthday. Oh, my gosh. What a mark. You're here.
Well,
you made it to 40.
I made it to 40, and then the day just got sweeter listening to Marilyn Monroe, of all people, singing. So I appreciate that.
And, you know, we spared no expense to bring her back for that, just so you know.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's worth every penny.
I love it. I love it. Well, so happy birthday from all of us. And I know your family in Memphis is wishing you the same. All right. Let's start with the FIBA World Cup. And what a disappointment that was. Why all of this happened and what will change for Paris next year. Let's just start with all that.
Well, again, we spoke about it last week, right, Dave? People going into this World Cup, I think avid basketball fans, one, they underestimated the talent level that is pervasive in international national teams, let's say. And I say international national teams, meaning the national teams of Germany, France, etc., Spain, and obviously Germany won the whole thing, Canada even. But two, you did not see the who's who in the NBA, the Devin Bookers, the Kevin Durant, LeBron, Harden, Curry, those guys participate. And it is a bit of a wake-up call. And I like the fact that now you have the stars trying to form a plan for next year in the Olympics and attract and recruit one another to go out there and represent our country because Team USA deserves its rightful place getting a gold medal. It's not taking anything away from these other countries, but at the end of the day, you've got superstar talent from top to bottom, or you could have superstar talent from top to bottom on a Team USA roster, whereas Germany, Spain, all these other countries, you're going to always have a handful of top-level NBA players, and Luka Doncic and our guy Dennis Schroeder, who was MVP of the World Cup, Dylan Brooks, obviously, with Team Canada, and all these different players. But then the back half of those rosters are generally kind of made up of local players that their ceiling as a professional basketball player is playing in FIBA, playing in international competition elsewhere. But again, if you're Team USA, you've got to recruit the absolute stars of the NBA. And I think they will. I think they will be able to do that.
So they got to go bigger, that's for sure, right? I hear. All right, so we're in a world of free agency, right? Players having leverage. That's the way it works now for sure everywhere. And in this case, it's the same. Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers, maybe the best big man in the game that is an American. But is he? He actually has a chance to play for another country. He has dual citizenship.
Mm-hmm.
Where will he play? Do you think it's fair that he should play for America? Because he's got a chance. He became a citizen last year. Who gets Joel Embiid, and how does that sort of sway things for the Olympic Games?
Well, look, he's from Cameroon, so is he going to play for their national team? As good as Joel Embiid is, what is the ceiling for the Cameroon basketball team versus Team USA? So I'm Joel. I look at it and say, I want to be able to win a gold medal. And if he has U.S. citizenship, I understand. Obviously, it's not where he was born, but now you have that, and you something that you're going to have moving forward. Talking about your U.S. citizenship, go out there and help Team USA and win a gold medal. Because I got to believe you're not going to have a chance to do it with Cameroon. And again, as you get older in this industry as a professional basketball player, your opportunities and your windows of opportunities to represent your country like this only diminish. And so this may be one of the only times that he's got a chance to go out there and represent his country and win a gold medal. And he's within his right to do that with Team USA, and boy, do they need him. I don't know who else you do. Get Anthony Davis is another great big man. Obviously, Rudy Gobert is French. Jokic, he's not American, so who else do you turn to?
I think if I were Joel Embiid, and I'd very seriously try to think ahead 15 years, and I'd say, where am I going to live? Am I going to go back to live in Cameroon? And if that's the case, I'm going to play for them. If I'm going to live in the United States, and he's going to have plenty of money to choose wherever the heck he wants to live, then I'm going to play for the United States because I will win a gold medal if I play for them, and I may be the swing guy to do it. So I think that's how I would consider it. I think the one lesson we learned here from this World Cup is that they've got to go bigger because the other world countries are going bigger. And you just mentioned Jokic. Well, he's probably going to play this next time around for his country. I would have to say Antetokounmpo is probably going to play for Greece next time around. So you're going to have size inside. And we just mentioned there's, I guess, Bam Adebayo in Miami is probably the best big-bodied American that would be available to play in Paris.
Yeah, and I agree. I mentioned Anthony Davis, but again, you got to have some youth. You got to have some fresh legs, and obviously the injury history as of late with Anthony Davis is, I think, cause for concern. You don't want to run into any issues in Paris in the Olympics if you're Team USA and having trouble relying on players. And so I think they did a really good job this year of constructing the team. Obviously, look, you've got young talent, up-and-coming talent who are ready to kind of take over, changing of the guard, let's say, to be superstars in the NBA over the next 3 or 4 years as some of these elite guys retire. These young guys like Tyrese Halliburton and your guy Anthony Edwards and, my feelings on Austin Reeves, all these young players. But at the end of the day, and I'm not even going to say, okay, well, you add Steph Curry, you add LeBron, let these other guys
You ought to add Tatum. You ought to add Kevin Booker.
Got to add Booker. It's funny. I saw this online, too. Would they add Ja? I mean, we got to see how this season goes. But he's just as elite as anyone else out there and as an NBA point guard. Obviously, there's a lot of things that have to get sorted out with him in the foreseeable future in terms of his status with the NBA and just getting through this suspension and just kind of starting the season off right when he does come back. But I think that's another piece you have to look at. But the question is, I think they're expected to win if that does happen, if they get these guys. But will they win? Again, this is not the 92 Dream Team where they're going to go out there and just bulldoze every opponent. All these other teams are very talented. But I'm hopeful and optimistic you'll see a lot of superstars play in the Olympics. I think the games will be pretty competitive, though, nonetheless.
I know he's your client, but objectively tell me what kind of a job you think Steve Kerr and his crew with Spoelstra, who's a heck of a coach, even Mark Few, they had Jeff Van Gundy as a consultant. What kind of job do you think they did in this World Cup?
Yeah, look, unbiased, as objective as I can tell you, I think they did a great job with the talent they had. As you said, they got beat up on the glass quite a bit. Maybe they could have made a few more adjustments defensively, but again, you're not going out there shutting down every single opponent and winning by 30 or 40 points anymore, no matter the talent level that you do have. So I think with the pieces that they had, they did a very good job. I mean, the only criticism I would say is maybe you change up the lineup a little bit here and there. But I don't really have any negatives or anything I would say, hey, Steve did a horrible job in this area or that area. Again, I think a lot of it comes down to roster construction, which is more left up to the Team USA entity.
That's Grant
Hill.
Hill.
The coaches, Grant Hill, Sean Ford, great guys. They do a great job with that. And you got to remember, too, you're trying to appeal to the James Harden, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, LeBron. Hey, give up a portion of your off season when you're north of a lot of these players, north of 30, north of 33, 34 years old. It's probably the last thing we want to do for the World Cup. It's just, again, it was a great basketball to watch in a time where there are no other professional basketball games happening. And so it drew the attention of basketball fans around the world. But does it really move the needle for these guys when they can say, you know what, I'd rather rest up, go into the season fresh, and then tackle this thing again next summer in the Olympics?
Just for the record, I'm not trying to appeal to James Harden. Just let you know, let you know that. All right.
Hey, he's up there.
Big news this week. Anti-load management messages and fines coming from the commissioner of the NBA, Adam Silver. I am so for this, but you're the rep of players who get paid an exorbitant amount of money and don't have to play all 82 games. What's your take? What's your players' take of all this new stuff?
Well, for the most part, our players are fine with that. And I'm very lucky to work with players that tend not to take nights off. They don't want to take nights off. They understand they get paid a lot of money to play a game for a living. And they also understand, and I am of the same ilk, that you would not be making this money and you would not be playing this game where you do play this game if it weren't for the fans. And I get it. These fans are paying good money to show up to an arena, especially when they're coming in to see a superstar on a visiting team. It's going to be interesting, though. So that's what I'll say about how our players feel. But you saw this exception, right? I think players north of 35 can have the ability to sit out if it's a back-to-back. Well, I mean, you look around the league, many of these stars that these young, fans want to see, namely LeBron, he is, however old he is, 39 at this point, I think. I think he's younger than me. So it'll be interesting to see how, let me just use him as an example. I think he's the prime example that comes to people's minds. It'll be interesting to see how the Lakers utilize him. I think a lot of it, too, will depend on the status of the team and what point in the season you're talking about. If you're talking about November, December, January, when everyone is starting out fresh, thinking that they have a chance this season, unless you're probably the Houston Rockets, then I think you're going to see these stars play in just about every game. But it will be really interesting when you get past the trade deadline as teams that are vying for playoff contention or playoff positioning decide to rest certain players when they're playing cupcake opponents, just so they can be fresh for the higher upper echelon, higher level opponents. It will be, I don't know. I'm very curious, Dave, to be honest. This is the first time these regulations have been put in place, so I'm very curious to see how they'll unfold. But I get it from the league standpoint of why they're doing this.
Well, here's my fear: you're going to get guys that now are going to get injured, right? They're just going to say they're injured. Or here's the biggest question: how many of them are going to say, "I've got a mental health issue. I can't play"?
Right. Well, the NBA did say you're going to have to. They could open up an investigation, and I think if you said, "Well, what is that going to reveal?" Well, if you're the team / player, you're going to have to turn over documentation of a medical report, of a doctor's visit, of MRI, X-ray, etc., to the league to show, hey, this is why I sat out, and here's some corroborating evidence. The mental health issue, that will be an interesting one and a bit of a wild card, and I don't necessarily think you'll see that as much as you might fear. I think it could come up, but if you see it from one or two players, then I think a lot of players will attempt to follow suit. But I do think the league will shut it down or amend these regulations to close that quote-unquote loophole. I do agree. I think, look, you do run the risk of increased injuries around the league to especially those older players. You saw that a lot the last couple of seasons. If you remember, when the NBA was getting back on track from the truncated season during COVID and the bubble and those subsequent seasons, mainly the last couple, we did see a lot of injuries, just nagging injuries pop up here and there. But again, for the most part, they're inflicted upon these players north of 30. And I do think that teams will be able to take advantage of this exception for certain players here and there. But look, at the end of the day, this is for the fans. That's why they're doing this, to retain fans.
Don't forget television and ratings, because TV doesn't want to pay more rights fees and not get stars. We're out of time. As always, we appreciate it. We'll talk next Friday. Happy 40th birthday to you, Andy.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thanks.
You got it. That's our agent in Chicago. He's brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Team. Whether it is commercial insurance, you got a business and you're a small size to mid-sized business, Matt Eflin will sit down, get to know you. He'll get to know your product, your employees, what your budget is, and then he'll protect you. That's what he does with your family, for life insurance, auto insurance, even for your home, for your mortgage. They will protect you once they know exactly what's important to you and what your budget is. All you got to do is call 901-386-GER. That's 901-4777, the Eflin Insurance Team. And the weekend is almost here. I know, because I'm seeing Brian Dacus, and he's about to come in to our studio to talk about the Tiger football game last night. You're out. You need to stock up, because you got a full weekend of football coming. Well, you got to go see my guy. That's Eddie Conner at the Spirit Shop, 4848 Poplar, St. Nick, little log cabin right down from Clark Tower. You've passed by it a million times. It's beautifully located right in the heart of East Memphis. Many of you have been going there since 1969. You know what I'm talking about. You've met Eddie Conner. You've met his family. You know how much they love to talk about spirits, how they love to educate you, how they'll tell you, this is a bargain. This is rare. That could be anything from the greatest up-and-coming wine to valuable bourbon, the newest tequila, vodka that's a little different with a flavor. Whatever it is, they've got it, including accessories at the Spirit Shop. Back in a minute, Brian Dacus will take us into the weekend. He's next.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Roofing and siding, gutters too. We're the pros you can trust to get it done right. Call on us. Five Ash Roofing, the name to know. Five Ash Roofing, the only way to go. Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. Five Ash Roofing.
Is that not the corniest thing you've ever heard? Can you believe I paid good money for that silly jingle? Well, the experts say make it memorable, and I think I got my money's worth. Five Ash Roof Services, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Tigers home team. Five Ash Roofing, 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Ready for a new ride? We got it covered at Gossett Kia on the Pike. 41 MPG Highway, we got it with 2023 Kia Forte LXS. $229 a month, $29.99 to its signing. Get some EV action in 2023 Nero EV Wind SUV. 253 miles of EPA estimated range, $269 a month, $49.99 to its signing. Plus, check out 2023 Kia EV6 Wind. Get up to 134 city, 101 highway MPGE, $399 a month, $49.99 to its signing. And Gossett will include a free charger with your EV purchase, all 36-month leases, plus Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He's ready to put you in a new Kia today. Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike, or online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36 months, 650 acquisition fee, Forte LSX, PE 678605, MSRP 21610, Nero P507859, MSRP 41090, EV6 P5610964, MSRP 49687, includes all rebates and incentives, must finance through Hyundai, excludes tax island license. See dealer for complete details, offer valid through 10/2/2023 with approved credit, dealer stock only.
Sports and blinds, they just go together. And right now, all Sports 56 listeners get $50 off any order at Blinds Etc. South. Real wood, 3.5 to 4.5 inch plantation shutters made in the Mid-South are always affordable at Blinds Etc. South. And now get $50 off your order. Get your free in-home consultation at 901-681-0225 or go to blindsetcetera.southllc.com. Upgrade your home with custom-made plantation shutters and window treatments from Blinds Etc. South.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It was a feeling, all right, not so lonely. There were a lot of people there, but it was one of relief after the Tigers finished somehow, some way against Navy to keep their perfect season intact at 3-0 and 1-0 now as they win their conference opener against Navy. We always end the week with Bryant Dacus. That's his beat, the U of M. And so I've just basically said this is a game Memphis would have lost last year.
Yeah.
They found a way to win this year in a crazy finish of a game filled with some bad calls, but some really physical play, and that defense of Matt Barnes was pretty good. That's been my take. What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, it was a I don't want to say concerning game, but you were definitely scared down the stretch of that game, losing that game. But you're right. I think last year's team, you would have had some issues down the stretch. We talk all the time about last year and kind of those one touchdown games, and Tigers weren't very successful in those games last year. So I think it is a positive that they were able to win that game last night. But you're right, the physicality last night. I mean, Navy really brought it early. Seth Hennigan had to miss a couple of plays getting checked out because of the hits he was taking. I thought Memphis defense brought it, and they made some stands when they needed to. So, I mean, me and Brett talk a lot in the afternoons about, anybody that had Memphis having a somewhat successful season to a very successful season, had them starting 3-0. And so you really needed that win last night against Navy. First conference game, you got it. And so now you get a long week to prepare for Missouri and St. Louis.
Well, those extra days will help. And not to make an excuse, because I don't think Ryan Silverfield or Matt Barnes will.
Yeah.
But last week, they never tackled.
Really?
Look, you had the short week.
Yeah,
you played Saturday, Sunday. They were in full pads only one day.
Yeah.
They never had another practice, or like a real practice after Monday.
Yeah.
And he did not want to take a chance on any injuries, so he did not tackle. And I think that really showed up. Now you get the extra day. But do you feel, fair question, as confident about this team going to St. Louis to take on Missouri as you would have prior to this performance against Navy?
And I think it's a very fair question. I would say probably no, but I don't think it's that much. I don't think I've wavered that much from where I was yesterday before the game. Like you said, a short week, a very tricky Navy offense to face. I mean, everyone talks every single year about this Navy offense and how you have to prepare for them. But, going back to the defense, I think there have been several guys that have been added in the transfer portal this offseason that have really made a difference through these first three games. I've thought Simeon Blair, the leadership he brings, some of the things he's done through these first games have been unbelievable. Chandler Martin, the linebacker,
that guy
has been unreal.
He really has. He's their leading tackler now.
Yeah.
I mean, he came from East Tennessee?
East Tennessee.
Yeah.
And then I've been impressed, obviously kind of short sample size. I want to see more from him. But Diego Brumfield, the corner, I've been impressed with him. A guy that came in from Campbellsville, which I believe is either a D3 or NAIA school.
I believe.
Yeah, and so, when he came in, I didn't really know much about him. Then I see him on the depth chart as the starting corner, and I've been impressed with him. I saw a stat yesterday, either before yesterday's game, he hadn't missed a tackle, or out of like 6 targets to the receiver he was covering, he had only given up 1 reception, maybe both. But he's played really well at corner. And so those guys you've added in the transfer portal, and there's a ton other, both offensively and defensively, that have really done a great job these first 3 games. I think Silverfield's done a fantastic job using the portal and bringing in guys that can make an impact immediately.
So you really haven't answered the question, though. Do you feel better or worse about the game in Missouri?
I would say worse. But let's see Missouri. Missouri has not been world beaters through their first 2 games. They've had some interesting games. I think last week who they play, MTSU, I think, and kind of struggled. It was a close game down the stretch. So maybe a little worse, but because it's gonna be a big game against SEC school. But I don't think I've faltered that much.
No, maybe that was their stinker. There's one every year.
Exactly.
And that's what you kind of hope, that this was not your best, and you still figured out a way to win the game, and we shall see. Here's where I always get confused. Kansas State plays Missouri this week.
Yeah.
Like, who do you root for in that game? I kind of think, I want Kansas State to be physical, beat them up, make them sore, make them lose confidence because they haven't lost a game, but they haven't really beaten anybody either, and they struggle with Middle Tennessee State.
Right.
Or do you want them to win and really feeling good about themselves and overlook Memphis? I kind of want the first scenario. How do you feel?
Yeah, I go back and forth. I think I would probably lean the second one with kind of all the circumstances. You can say, it was that clunker from Memphis. You just overlook a Navy team. You're not prepared for that triple option, and it's closer than you think. Now you have this long week. Maybe if Missouri starts the season 3-0, a win over a ranked team, they have a ton of confidence going into or overlook the Tigers with all that confidence, and it sets up this massive game. I think the time slot 6:30 is a great time slot. I heard some people saying it was going to be an 11 a.m. game, which I didn't really want it to be that early. So I think it's a great opportunity for the Tigers to go to a 3-0 team that's just come off a win over a top 25 team and pull a big time upset.
All right, real quick, in a minute, what's the latest with DeAndre Williams?
You want a whole minute on that? I mean, there's really nothing. No new updates on that, which is concerning. I mean, what's today, September 15th?
Yes.
So,
middle of the month.
We're getting far. I remember hearing reports late August that we were very close on a decision.
Where do you hear that
exactly,
from?
Exactly.
Anybody that tells you, unless it's from the NCAA, come on.
Exactly. And that's kind of, I wish we had never gotten those reports because it gets everybody excited. But no new updates. Hopefully something soon.
Well, here's why I'm discouraged. Take a look at what the NCAA did with Tez Walker. Take a look. There's another case, and it doesn't come to my mind right now, but it was an eligibility question, and they denied it. It looks like they're swinging that pendulum the other way, so it is a little discouraging.
It is. It should be, yeah.
But precedent would tell you that he should come. So
absolutely.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
The late date doesn't bother me because they're still figuring out football stuff.
I mean, what Tez Walker was after week 1.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Have a great weekend. We'll listen to you with Brett from 3 to 6 today. Ever thought how lucky you'd be if you could just see what was coming before it got here? Well, my man Sheldon Rosengarten, or as people call him, Sheldon with Mark Spensdorf, he can't tell you exactly what will happen in the future of the real estate market, but he can sell a home no matter what the market is. So whether the interest rates are rising or falling or the inventory is increasing or decreasing, he's done this for so long. He knows exactly what to do and when to do it with that highly successful strategic marketing program. So it may sound crazy, but he'll tell you, talk to 2 or 3 real estate agents. Just make sure he's one. Listen to the strategy. It's worked for years. And then I'm telling you, you'll get to the closing table quicker and make more money. All you got to do is go to memphisrelocate.com, see what I'm talking about, then call him, 483-0546, 483-0546. Get it done with Sheldon Rosengarten, Mark Spensdorf. That'll do it for me. Good weekend, everybody. We'll see you Monday morning. Johnny Radio's next. Homer Skelton Hyundai